Hey, what's up everyone, it's Duskmos, and today I'm here with the Elektron Analog Drive, and not just one of them, but two of them. I got two of them because I'm a little crazy, but I wanted to see what this would be like to use in stereo, and because this is a mono effect, I had to get two of them. The analog drive is a multi-circuit analog distortion unit, and that's aptly described because there are 8 different analog distortion circuits that are built into each one of these boxes. The analog drive was the first sort of pedal format foray into this sort of effect type box for Elektron, and it actually predates the analog heat. And so a lot of these distortion names and circuits are similarly named because I think they're probably carryovers from this pedal. The analog drive has 8 modes. It's got a clean boost, a mid drive, a dirty drive, a big distortion, focus distortion, harmonic fuzz, high gain, and thick gain. Anyway, this thing sounds pretty crazy, especially paired up in 2. I'm going to do some pretty fun things with this, so definitely stick around and let's hear how this thing sounds, or these things sound. The combination of the thing of things sound. Let's check it out. This is Signal Colors. So the Elektron Analog Drive unit has 8 knobs, a 2-position toggle switch, and 3 soft latching foot switches. On the back you've got an input, an output, an expression jack for the gain control, an expression jack for the mid control, and a MIDI in and out, and the power connector. As I mentioned, this is mono, and that's why I got 2 of them so I can operate them in stereo. I kind of already covered what these do in the intro, but they're all pretty self-explanatory as well. So you've got a gain control, a low booster cut, a mid-frequency, sort of like a parametric EQ band selection, a mid-level, and a high-level boost and cut. Here, this is the level of the output, so you can have level down, gain up, gain down, level up, just depending on how you want to kind of work it. This preset knob is a preset selector switch that is detented, so you can kind of click through and it'll show you in numeric display in 2 characters what preset you're on. What's kind of cool is these lights will tell you when you turn a knob based on the preset if you're high or low compared to where it's set, which is kind of a cool thing. So it sort of tells you where the settings are for each of these in the preset. This manual toggle is where you switch between a preset and a manual operation. So what this means is it will respect all the knob positions if you have it in manual mode. So that's with the toggle switched up. With the toggle switched down, preset mode just doesn't recognize anything that's going on with these knobs physically, like where the knobs are actually set. This main central knob is the circuit selection knob, and it clicks in place, and it's extremely satisfying to turn. I wish there were more things with this. In these foot switches, you can go left preset or right a preset, and this is bypass or select. So if you switch presets, you can hit that to select to engage it and switch to the next one. And last, but I guess kind of least, is the active LED. So that just tells you if the effect is active or bypassed. All right, let's get both of these hooked up and hear how they sound. Okay, so I've got the Elektron Digitone here, the FM synth groove box that is so popular and very fun. And it's flanked by the 2 analog drive units on the left and right. So everything you hear out of the right ear is going to be coming from the right unit. Everything in the left ear is going to be coming from the left unit. Because I have the toggle switch flicked up, that means it's in the manual mode, so all the knob positions reflect what's actually happening to the sounds. If I flick it down, then it actually jumps to the preset mode, and you can change them, and they flash until you select, for example. But I'm going to go back to manual mode and put everything back in default. I won't be using the presets because there's really no need, and it's more fun just to kind of tweak everything and just kind of see what we get. So as you can tell, the active light is not lit, so it's completely bypassed right now. And I'll go ahead and play through my clean patterns so you know what we're working with. upbeat, cuckoo-esque. Sort of pattern. So there we go. That is the clean pattern. And let's go ahead and kick things off with the analog drives. Remember, left ear, right ear. I'm going to start kind of keeping everything the same in both sides, but then I'm going to get it real interesting and start kind of tweaking it out. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and engage the effects and hit play. So you can tell right away, slight boost on the clean boost mode. Clean. And then the slight boost back. So it's interesting, if you want a little bit more analog flavor, you can back off the level and then up the gain a little bit. Back to clean. So yeah, there's a little bit of a boost, and I think it's more than just volume. I do really think there's a little bit more punch. And it feels a little bit like there's some compression happening too. It's subtle, but it's nice. Okay, one thing that's kind of fun to do, have the frequency all the way up on the mid frequency, boost the mids, but then you can sweep. Or you can cut. And you hear the sound kind of shift around a little bit. Like the emphasis of the frequencies. Kind of cool. All right, turn that back to normal position. We'll go ahead and bring the level down, but then gain up all the way. You hear it clipping a little bit. So alternatively, you can have the gain all the way down and just push the level, and it's just a real clean boost. Extra clean boost. All right, I'm gonna return the levels back. And I'm gonna switch it into mid drive. So you can hear it's definitely driven more. The gains are down all the way. Raise the gain up, bring the level down. Gain up all the way. up the highs a little bit so it kind of brightens it. Go back to bypass. So clean. And crunched up a little bit. I move on to dirty drive. Cut the mids. Cut the low. We'll boost the low. Really thickens up the bass. Alright, switch to big distortion. Which is interesting because the gain's all the way down. It's almost like a slightly dirtier clean boost. Bypass. Sounds pretty good to me. Things change once you up the gain though. Really get that muffled sound when you cut the highs. Back off the gain. Bypass. We'll switch to focus distortion. Really crank the gain. Bring the low back out. Move on to harmonic fuzz. A little more dissonant and crazy sounding. Let's see if we can rein it in. Kind of wild. Sounds pretty cool though. Bypass. So different. We're going to move it to high gain. So again, we have gain turned all the way down. With lows boosted, I'm going to bring them back to normal. Bypass. Gain. Bring some of these highs back. Really bring up the gain. Aggressive. Kind of cool though. And bypassed. And we're back around again to clean boost. There's actually kind of a cool thing. You can go from this last one right over to the first one. When I first got these, I would go all the way and then come all the way back around. Like some kind of noob. Nah, not necessary. Okay, so we're going to go back to really just sort of like a default 12 o'clock state here. On both. Engage. That's just our clean boost. Alright, so I'm going to switch patterns now to the second one. The first one's called 2X Drive. This is double drive. It's like double dragon. I don't know. I'm dating myself, but you know, it's cool. So this pattern clean sounds like this. Have a nice little thing going on. So that's what that one sounds like. And what we're going to do is start off with this, and we're going to do something a little different this time. I will go through these different modes, but I'm going to actually make the left and right ear different, and you'll kind of see that's sort of like where the fun lies, I think, with these. Instead of kind of making everything the same, when you have something going on sort of in parallel, it really kind of steps it up a notch. And that's something that the analog heat does better, because there's a dry wet blend, because you can do like the full stereo mix through the distortion units, and the regular clean blend without. And so you can make that happen with these if you want to just record separate channels or different takes or whatever. But yeah, pretty fun, and you'll see. Very hands-on. Okay, so we'll play. We'll start there with just the clean boost. So you can hear mid-drive in the right ear. drive. It's cool, you can just focus on manipulating one channel. Big distortion. Focus distortion. High gain. We'll go to clean. Those are the stereo spread kind of widen out, which is interesting. And then back to clean boost. And I'll bypass again. So what's really cool now is have two different drives. Have fun. It's kind of a fun trick too. Back to clean. And now it's only active in the right channel. And there we go. That is a pair of the Elektron Analog Drives paired up with the Elektron Digitone. So overall, what do I think about the Elektron Analog Drive? Well, I think they're really cool. I mean, I like that there's all the unique drive circuits built in. The tactile controls are really nice, really good hands-on tweakability, which I'm always a fan of. And I think it sounds good. I think you do have to be careful. You know, you have to watch your levels, and you know, depending on how much distortion you want, that can vary quite a bit, even from, you know, like circuit to circuit. But overall, I think there's a lot of variation here, and for the price, I mean, you can find these around 200-ish USD a piece on the used market. Obviously, they don't make them anymore. But I think that is a good value, and if you just want one, you know, for mono, I think it's a cool choice. I mean, there's, you know, other stuff that you could get, but a lot of them might be around the same price and have less circuits and maybe not quite sound as good. Also with the MIDI, you know, you can control it that way, load up presets and stuff, and that's a really cool feature. Not a lot of drive pedals have that, let alone the ability to even create presets. You know, again, not a lot of drive pedals have that. So that's really cool too. A pair of these to run it in stereo, especially with, you know, two different modes going on, is a really interesting approach to drive, especially if you can have one thing happening in one ear and another in the other, and it really adds some pretty cool, you know, space and sonic interest between the two channels, which is kind of a pro sort of move, honestly. I also think because of all the hands-on control, there's a lot of performative aspects to this. You know, like when you're flipping through the different modes, the way it kind of chops is kind of cool, and then tweaking the mid boost or cut, and then the frequency point on the mids kind of gives you some filter sweep type stuff, and yeah, it sounds really cool. I think also even just being able to, you know, dial in just a little bit of analog warmth with just a little bit of gain and not too much level. Kind of makes this a sort of low budget analog heat for sure. Is it as good as the analog heat? I don't think so, because you can't do that sort of parallel blending. But that being said, being able to do one thing in one channel and another in the other is kind of unique to having a setup like this. There are also other products out there like the Auto Machines Boom and the like Alicia character, for example. Quite a few different things that can bring some of that sort of analog heat in addition. That's funny, I said analog heat. There are quite a few things that could bring that sort of analog sort of saturation and character outside of the Elektron family. But I thought this would be a pretty cool comparison and an interesting option for people who maybe don't want to spend the $800, $700-800 on a new analog heat. You could also get the first gen analog heat, which would be a little bit cheaper and probably only an extra 100 to 150 more than a pair of these would cost. So, maybe not the most price conscious decision to get two of these versus that. But for example, like for me, I didn't really like the first gen analog heat because that display you can only read from like this very specific angle, and it was not my cup of tea. But it sounded good. But so do these. And yes, maybe these take up a lot of desk space. You saw, compared to something like the DigiSize boxes from Elektron, it's almost the same size, obviously a little bit smaller. So that's definitely some real estate, which, you may or may not be willing to sacrifice. Another thing that I think is interesting about these and having two of them is if you need to, you can break it off and then have two mono drives that you can use on two different devices. And so, there's flexibility there. And I think this is definitely a cool choice, something to consider, especially if you can find really good deals on these. If you're talking like $150, $125 a piece, like if you could talk somebody down, then I really think that this is something you should really consider if you're looking to add some crunch and analog warmth and goodness. That being said, this was a pretty fun experiment, and it's pretty cool using two of anything. I don't know why, but something about it is pretty cool. Anyway, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.